It begins in silence. No bombs, no speeches, no warning, just a whisper, carried across oceans through radio static and satellite feeds, a signal that changes everything. For the first time in history, the entire African continent stands united, under one flag. 54 nations, one military, one command. They call it the African Defense Union, born out of decades of foreign interference, broken promises, and wars fought on someone else's terms. And now, it's preparing for the unthinkable: war against the United States. It starts in 2036. The world has been through chaos. Global markets have crashed 3 times in 5 years. Climate migration has redrawn borders. And Africa, long ignored, long underestimated, has become the fastest growing power on Earth. From Lagos to Nairobi, new megacities rise from the dust. Solar fields stretch for miles across the Sahara. And under the soil, gold, lithium, cobalt, the resources that fuel the modern world. The United States, struggling to recover from economic stagnation and political division, tries to maintain control of the global supply chain. But Africa has stopped listening. And when Washington imposes sanctions on the new African Union Central Bank, calling it a threat to global stability, that's the final spark. Night over the Atlantic. An American naval convoy sails east, bound for the Gulf of Guinea. Its mission: to secure trade routes. But what the world sees is different: a show of force. The next morning, African drones swarm the skies over the convoy. No one fires first, at least not officially. But within minutes, the ocean erupts in flame. 2 U.S. destroyers are hit, satellite feeds cut to black. By the time the Pentagon confirms what's happening, the first major war of the 21st century has already begun. The African coalition is unlike anything the world has seen, from Egypt's Air Force to South Africa's missile systems, from Nigeria's cyber division to Ethiopia's massive infantry. The continent moves as one. At its heart, Cairo Command, a vast underground war room beneath the Sahara Desert, linked to quantum-encrypted satellites built in partnership with China. Every decision, every operation, flows from there. The plan? Cripple America's global influence before it can mobilize. And the battlefield isn't just physical, it's digital. African cyber units strike first, targeting Wall Street, GPS satellites, and U.S. communication networks. Within hours, stock exchanges freeze. Air traffic control goes dark. Millions of Americans wake up to find their phones dead, their banks locked, their news channels silent. It's chaos, and it's only day one. In Washington, D.C., emergency meetings stretch through the night. No one can understand how Africa, once written off as developing, could move this fast, this precise. But intelligence reports reveal the truth. Over the last decade, African nations quietly merged their defense budgets under a single AI-driven military system, Project Umoja, Unity. It predicts, learns, and adapts faster than any human command. And now, that system is directing a continental army of over 5 million troops. The first direct strike comes from the skies. Hypersonic missiles, launched from North African silos, streak across the Atlantic, targeting U.S. military bases in Europe and the Middle East. Ramstein, Incirlik, Djibouti, all hit within minutes. Every base that once projected American power into Africa, gone. Day 5. Africa controls the skies over the Mediterranean. U.S. fleets in the Atlantic begin regrouping, preparing to push east. But Africa's navy, built from decades of modernization and aided by drone carriers, meets them halfway. The Battle of the Mid-Atlantic becomes the largest naval engagement since World War II. American destroyers clash with swarms of autonomous submarines built in Nigeria's coastal shipyards. Laser defenses light up the night sky as missiles arc across the waves. A U.S. carrier is struck. Then another. By dawn, satellite images show wreckage burning across thousands of miles of ocean. For the first time in modern history, America's dominance at sea is in question. On the home front, the U.S. public reels in disbelief. No one imagined Africa could fight, let alone win battles. But this isn't the Africa of the 20th century. This is a continent rebuilt by unity, powered by youth, innovation, and desperation. In the Sahel, solar-powered drone factories hum day and night. In Kenya, quantum satellites beam encrypted orders to every division. In Nigeria, entire cities have transformed into command centers. Every nation contributes something: intelligence, energy, manpower, or data. Together, they form the largest coalition in human history. But war is never simple. After weeks of cyber attacks and strikes, the US retaliates. Hard. Stealth bombers take off from Greenland and carrier groups near Florida. Their target: Africa's energy grid. Within hours, missile strikes hit solar fields across the Sahara, nuclear plants in South Africa, and hydro dams in Ethiopia. Half the continent goes dark, but it doesn't stay dark for long, because Africa planned for this. Massive underground reserves of energy, hidden bunkers of stored solar batteries, come online. Cities light back up within days. And for every missile America fires, Africa launches 2 more. By week 3, the war has spread beyond the battlefield. South American nations, long wary of US dominance, begin offering support to Africa. China and Russia, quietly, supply weapons and intelligence. The global balance of power fractures. Alliances shift, and the world teeters on the edge of collapse. In New York City, the United Nations becomes a war zone of diplomacy. US ambassadors accuse African leaders of aggression. Africa fires back. You built empires on our land. Now we're taking back the future. It's not just a war, it's a reckoning. By month 2, both sides are bleeding. Millions displaced. Trade routes shattered. The US economy nosedives. Africa's megacities struggle to feed their people, but neither side surrenders. And then, everything changes. A small team of African commandos infiltrates Diego Garcia, the US base in the Indian Ocean. They plant an EMP warhead, not nuclear, but powerful enough to knock out the base's radar and satellites. For 12 hours, the US loses vision across half the Eastern Hemisphere. When the systems come back online, they see something unthinkable: an African fleet sailing straight toward the American East Coast. Panic erupts in Washington. The president declares a national emergency. Cities go into lockdown. Millions of Americans flee inland as air raid sirens echo across New York and Virginia. But the invasion fleet never lands. Instead, Africa broadcasts a message to the world. A single statement, transmitted across every surviving network. This war was never about conquest. It was about respect. The signal cuts. The world goes silent. Ceasefire talks begin within days. Both sides agree to stand down. No one won, and no one lost. But history has been rewritten. In the aftermath, something extraordinary happens. For the first time, Africa holds a permanent seat at the global table, not as a victim, not as a resource, but as an equal. American corporations begin to rebuild trade ties. Joint missions to space are launched from Ghana and Texas together. And slowly, painfully, the scars of war become lessons of cooperation. The world remembers how close it came to total collapse, and how quickly everything can change when unity becomes power. Years later, historians will look back at 2036 and call it the year the world woke up, because that was the year Africa stopped being underestimated, the year America realized it wasn't invincible, and the year humanity, standing on the brink of destruction, learned that power means nothing without respect.